Erica, welcome back to Maniacal Reader. Today is the first day that begins my end of the year videos. But today I'm talking about my favorite books that I read in 2017. I have about 7 favorites that I read this year, and no honorable mentions. So let's just get into my favorites. These books are in no particular order. I believe I gave all these books 4 or 5 stars. I really loved them. The first book I want to show you is Fall With Me by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the 4th book in her Wait For You series, and this book follows a girl named Roxy and her romance with a guy named Reese. Roxy is a bartender in this series, and she loves reading paranormal romances, and she's also very artistic. And Reese is a police officer. Roxy is dealing with an emotional event that happened in her past, and it's an event that still affects her today. So in this book, she's still dealing with that, and she still has raw, angry emotions from this event in her past. Reese is also dealing with an event in his past that he doesn't really talk about much, but this event still affects him from time to time. Roxy has loved Reese for years, but he hasn't known it. I liked how their relationship developed slowly and naturally. Even though these two characters are dealing with a lot of their own emotional baggage, a stalker is also stalking Roxy and other women in the city. And Roxy has become the stalker's new target. Reese really cares for Roxy and he wants to protect her, even though Roxy is really independent and is used to handling life on her own. I believe I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. It's definitely my favorite in the series. I really liked this book. The next book I have is 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. This is the first book in a YA sci-fi trilogy, and it's the first book in the Firebird trilogy. This book follows a girl named Marguerite Kane, who is the daughter of 2 scientists who developed this device called the Firebird. The Firebird allows a person to travel to different parallel universes. I really liked everything that happened in this trilogy. This book is so visual when it comes to the vivid imagery when describing all of these different parallel universes. I like the romance between Marguerite and a guy named Paul in this book. I just really loved everything about this book. The characters, the romance, and the action-packed plot of this book. It was a really good sci-fi book. I really enjoyed it. I believe I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. It was awesome. The next book I have here is The Girl in 6E by A.R. Torrey. This is the first book in an adult thriller series. This book follows a girl who stays in her apartment and doesn't like to go outside because she has unnatural urges to kill people. She stays in her apartment to prevent herself from murdering people. I really loved this book. It was very character focused. We really get to see inside the mind of the main character and why she is the way she is. Why she has these strong urges to kill people and what exactly happened to her in her past to make her the person that she is today. The main character is a call girl online. She does sexual activities with people online through webcam and chats and things like that. This book allows you to really understand her as a person and her day-to-day life. This book or this trilogy does have a smidgen of romance in it, but it's certainly not the focus of this trilogy. This trilogy is more thriller-based and it's more action-oriented than romantic. The main character is happy with her life and happy with being a call girl, doing sexual things with people online. But that all changes when she realizes that one of her customers may want to harm a little girl. And since the main character wants to save this little girl, she'll do anything she can in order to save her and stop this sick, twisted man from hurting this little girl. I really liked getting to know the main character and the unconventional relationships that she has with people. It's best to go into this book blind, not really knowing much. I feel that this is the best way to experience an adult thriller, and this is actually the first adult thriller that I read, and I really enjoyed it. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. It was really, really amazing. I would definitely reread this book and the rest of the trilogy in general in the future. I read this first book and the rest of the trilogy in October since I was really in the mood to read something that was eerie and would keep me on the edge of my seat. and this book definitely did that. I could not put this book down. It was amazing. If you haven't read this book yet, or this trilogy, you definitely need to. Next up, I have Thoughtless by S.C. Stevens. This is the first book in a new adult romance series, and it follows this girl named Kira and her boyfriend Denny. Kira and Denny have been dating for a couple of years, and they're about to start new chapters in their lives. Kira is enrolled in a top-notch university, and Denny has recently gotten his dream job, but they don't really have a place to live. So Denny contacts his old friend Kellen and asks him if it's okay if he and Kira stay with him for a little while until they find their own place. Kellen says it's okay, so Kira and Denny come to live with him. But unforeseen circumstances causes Denny to leave Kira, so they have to spend some time apart. She finds herself starting to grow feelings for Kellen. This book was definitely a slow burn romance, and one that I really enjoyed. The book does have a love triangle between Denny and Kellen and Kira. The book was definitely angsty and really emotional, but I thought it was a realistic depiction of a love triangle and actual situations that can happen when you have feelings for two guys. To me, it was obvious who Kira had stronger feelings for, and I liked the exploration of Kira and Kellen's relationship. It was definitely really emotional, and there were a lot of ups and downs. I loved this book a lot. I believe I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was a really good first book to a series. The next book that was a favorite of mine was The Maze Runner by James Dashner. I borrowed this book from the library. This is the first book in a YA dystopian trilogy. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. This book follows a group of boys who have their memories wiped. They don't really know who they are or anything about themselves. And they're brought to this place that has a maze. But no one's survived in the maze before. And these boys just try to figure out what's going on, who they are, and why they were put here. And all of a sudden, this girl shows up. For years, they haven't seen a girl, so they're wondering why this girl has suddenly appeared in their lives and what her role is in all these mysterious things that are going on. They also know that there's this mysterious message from someone named Wicked. I really enjoyed the first book in this series. The characters were nice and funny, and I really liked the main character, Thomas. The basic story is these boys are trying to figure out how to solve the maze. The plot of this book was really action-packed and really interesting, since these boys are trying to solve the mystery of this maze. It's my favorite in the series overall. I did have mixed feelings about this series. I enjoyed some books more than others, but I really enjoyed this first book. Some people are really put off by this book because they can't really connect with the characters, or they think the slang is too weird in this series. I really enjoyed figuring out the mysteriousness of the things that were happening with the boys, and I was really intrigued by the mysteriousness of it all. The next favorite I wanted to mention is Sometimes It Lasts by Abby Glines. This is a book in her Seabreeze series, which is a new adult romance series. This book follows the romance of a guy named Cage and his romance with a girl named Eva. And this book is the second book about their relationship. Cage and Eva got together previously in the series. Certain events have happened in their lives where they've had to spend time apart. So this book just delves deeper into their relationship as these two characters try to find a way back to each other. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This book was definitely a favorite in that series. I love Cage and Eva, and I really liked how this story progressed. It was amazing. If you're new to new adult romance, or if you're new to Abby Glines, I highly recommend the Seabreeze series. It's an awesome series. The next book that was also a favorite was Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. This is the second book in her Lunar Chronicles series, and this is a YA fantasy series. Nearly everyone on BookTube has read this series and knows what it's about. I really like the world in this series, and I liked learning more about Scarlet and who she is as a person. I felt that her romance with Wolf was sweet, and Scarlet is my favorite book in this series, since Wolf seems to be a bad boy character with a sweet side, and I love those types of characters, so I really liked the progression of their relationship. There was a lot of action in this book, and some betrayal, and I liked seeing how Scarlet and Wolf's relationship developed. This is a really good series overall, and I highly recommend it. But Scarlet just happened to be my favorite. And the last book on my favorites list is A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. I read this book on my Kindle just in December actually, very close to the end of the year, so I'm surprised that it made this favorites list. And it's one that I gave 5 out of 5 stars. It was really an amazing book. This book follows the relationship between a guy named Jamie and a girl named Bee. Jamie and Bee want to be together, but the timing never seems right, and certain situations prevent them from being together. This book was an emotional roller coaster, and it was one that was filled with a lot of angst. This book is the first book that I've read from Candy Steiner, and I really enjoyed it. However, this book isn't for everyone, since some people don't like this type of relationship that's depicted in the book, and I'll definitely be reading more from Candy Steiner in the future. There are some small things that I would change in the story of this book, but this book is beautifully written, and it deserves nothing less than 5 out of 5 stars. It was really, really amazing. A very good romance. Those are all of my favorite books that I read in 2017. Comment down below and tell me what some of your favorite books were from last year. I'd love to know. I'll see you guys in my next video for my most disappointing books that I read in 2017. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one.